My dears, we need to have a conversation about this right now. I don't know you, but I had one of the most amazing childhoods ever. And I have so vivid memories of those times. Smells, like memories, textures, like sometimes just one image, just one song, just one video kind of transports my mind to the good old times. And I don't really understand. Some people who are like, oh, from my childhood, I don't remember much. Like, I remember like everything with exquisite detail. And yes, it is true that I romanticize my past, but the issue is who doesn't? I had the most amazing memories, childhood, school times. Like, if I could, I would like just to come back to my neighborhood to play a game with my friends down there in the street. And it's not that I had everything, like material stuff. No, in my family down there in Colombia, we were lacking many things, but I was happy with what I had. I had the best friends, the best neighborhood, at least in my mind. Yeah, reality might be different. Probably I was living in a little bubble as a child. Because yeah, in the 90's, down there in Colombia, it was not the safest place in the world, but still, for me, in my heart, in my mind, best memories ever. So good. You might be wondering, why are you wearing sunglasses inside your house? Simple. I'm exercising my free will and I think I look cool. Let's dive into the topic. The first thing that I want to mention is the weekends. I don't know why, but these times they got internalized in my memory, in my brain. Because with my family, we had such a scheduled weekends. We had some routines that we never changed, we never broke. So I remember crystal clear everything with detail. When I was something, I don't know, 6, 5, 6 years old, I was waking up very early because I was waiting for the guy who used to put the newspaper under our door. So you see in the movies that usually in North America, there is a little guy riding the bicycle with the newspapers and he throws the newspapers to the porch, to the front door of the houses in the neighborhood. Ours, well, nobody was throwing anything, but they were sliding the newspaper under your door. And I was waiting for it. I was religiously waiting for this guy because, first of all, there is a smell with the newspaper. There was a smell with this paper. I don't know. That kind of is in my head, and I was always organizing it in such a way that my dad, obviously, he gets the articles, the paragraphs, and I was always taking the last pages where the cartoons were. There were some cartoons, there were some games, there were some things to color, and I was fascinated by it. And there were some cartoons that were famous in Colombia that I loved, So my Saturday always started something around 7 a.m. The guy was coming to the door with the newspaper, and I was already doing the thing. In that exact time, my mom was in the kitchen already shaking the chocolate. I don't know if you understand this reference, like shaking the chocolate. I don't even know what to call this in English, this thing. And she was like shaking the chocolate because that kind of creates some type of thickness and it mixes all the ingredients. But it's about the sound because the sound of this like, and that's a sound that you could hear in many other houses around the neighborhood because many other moms, grandmas, parents, whatever, and also the smell of coffee. In many of those weekends, Saturday mornings, I was going with my dad to the grocery place. I wouldn't say grocery shop because in Colombia it was not a small shop. There are these huge places. They're like malls. It's like they're huge places where they sell only veggies and fruits. And they are huge. Like you can find any fruit you can imagine, any tropical fruit, any veggie, the whole year. I mean, there is not, obviously, you might understand that we don't have like the seasons as you experience them here in Europe or in the United States. Basically, you might find the same fruits around here. It's not that we have a season for watermelons. No, you can get a watermelon like anytime, like a mango anytime, a coconut anytime. Simple as that. And one of the routines was me going with my dad to buy the groceries. And this was such a nice experience because you used to go to these places and while you selected your fruits and veggies, usually you could eat stuff for free. Obviously, once you know the seller. So my dad was always buying to. There was this guy that my dad became friends with because he was for years, for many years, always going to him to buy the groceries. And He was chatting, talking about life, talking about news, talking about what's going on with the country, politics, sports, whatever. And he was saying like, "Hey, give me 3 of those. Give me 5 bananas. Give me a pack of, I don't know, strawberries. I want potato. I need plantain. I need this, and that." And at the same time, we literally, you could just take any fruit and eat. It's kind of your little reward for buying a big amount to this man. So I was there with my dad, and I was like, "Oh, I want a mango. Just eat it. Oh, I want a piece of coconut. Eat it. Oh, I want a piece of papaya. Eat it." And that's something that is in my head, because there is also a smell in this place. It's the smell of farm. You know, when the vegetables come straight from the farm, fresh, that they even still have the earth, the soil. Like potatoes is still dirty because it was. Carrots are still dirty, and they clean them there. There is a smell of soil, a smell of forest, a smell of farm that for me kind of marked my childhood. Then coming back home, and mom was already having lunch ready on the table, warm. You were eating that, and that was good. Now, cool thing about Saturday that really marked me is something around 4:30 to 5. I was watching one channel that, if I'm not wrong, was Discovery Kids. I think it was the name, Discovery Kids. That later turned into Jetix, and later turned into a different channel for cartoons. But in that time, we are talking about, I don't know, I guess this is 1996, 1997. Before me going to swimming lesson, training, because I was swimming, sports and stuff, I was watching the Power Rangers. The Power Rangers. And I remember that it was like timed. It was timed because I was watching the Power Rangers, and once it finished, like the episode, my mom was already like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go. We have to go because you're gonna come late to the swimming thing." By the way, when I say the Power Rangers, I'm not talking about this other like, nah. I'm talking about the one and only original Power Rangers. I think the name is Power Rangers Metamorphosis, something like that. Like Triceratops. That you know what I'm talking about. But obviously, I was in love with Kimberly. Only people from the 90's will understand. Kimberly, the pink Power Ranger. She was cute. She was cute. Come on, she was cute. And Sundays were special. Usually in the morning, 8 a.m., there was one cartoon and one song, especially one song that used to wake me up all along all my childhood. There was a local channel, I mean a national channel, that at 8 a.m. was always showing this cartoon. It was the Grimm Brothers Tales, the Grimm Brothers Fairy Tales. And there is this song, I think it's in Japanese, I think it is. For copy reasons, I cannot play the song, but I can show you the video. And the song said like this. I don't know Japanese, but it was something like, it was like, here. Moshi mo korirari ye naraneru wari ga oshiritai ra gojira de borejera jirane. My Japanese is amazing. But this was the Grimm Brothers Tales, and I was waking up every Sunday religiously with these cartoons and with this song, same as any other kid from my generation and from Colombia. Please let me know in the comments. Do you know this? The Grimm Brothers Fairy Tales, the cartoons in TV? Oh, no. But if you talk about cartoons, oh my God, I have to mention a couple more. Please leave in the comments a couple more cartoons that you used to watch that maybe I'm not mentioning, because I either don't remember or because maybe they were not famous in my country during my childhood time. But I remember, obviously, as I mentioned, the Power Rangers, the Metamorphosis version, the original version from the 90's. There were other cartoons that I loved. There were the Zodiac Knights, Super Champions. I used to watch the Los Motorratones de Marte. I guess it's the Mars Motor Mouse Biker. I don't know what is the translation. The Ninja Turtles, obviously. Tom and Jerry, the Looney Tunes, Rugrats. I realized only when I got older, because I was talking about cartoons with somebody else. And I was like, yeah, the cartoons and Tom and Jerry. And they were like, yeah, cool. Funny thing that they never talked. And I was like, what? That was the first time that I thought about it. Like, Tom and Jerry, they never talked. What is the voice of Tom and Jerry? They just meow and sounds and jumping and always falling down and always like cha, spoon, cha. There were no actual voices. That blew my mind. Things are just coming to my mind. Plaza Sésamo. I think it's like the Sésamo Square, Sésamo Platz. That was the same time when I was watching that one. I was watching Barney. Yeah, Barney was in TV. I couldn't avoid the Pinky dinosaur. Yeah, it is what it is. And the same time is when I was watching the Flintstones, there were also the Super Jets. Do you remember? There is this lady, at least in Spanish, it was called Robotina, like the maid, the robot maid. She was so funny. Don Gato y su pandilla, like Mr. Cat and the gang. I don't know. I'm saying all these names in Spanish and translation is wrong. Oh no, but there is one thing that is the father of cartoons. The Justice League. Oh my God. Batman and Flash and Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and all of them. Like, beautiful. And then a little bit at the end of the 90s, 2000s, then we started having the first generations of Pokemon and Digimon and all these little monster type of cartoons. Yeah. Now, TV series that marked my childhood. Number one was, I guess it's Sheena, this princess that, first of all, she was cute. She was cute. Also, Highlander. I don't know. So many people don't know what this is or don't remember. Highlander, this guy that he was like a guy with a sword. He was traveling in time or something like that. And obviously, the one and only, the X-Files. Whoa, and what about those scary stories that we used to watch in TV? For example, Goosebumps. For example, a little bit older was Are You Afraid of the Dark? This one, that was beautiful, scary stories for kids. That was just amazing. Two movies that really changed my life as a kid. After these movies, for a while, I couldn't sleep alone in my room. One was It, the Clown, but the original version, I think the original was 1991. So maybe I'm wrong, but beautiful. This is a masterpiece. Chucky, and obviously Freddy Krueger. And somehow, a little bit later on in time, I started drifting away from cartoons and TVs and I was into music. Obviously, MTV changed my life. Now, I remember coming back from school. I was tuning MTV and there was one show. It was like the top 10. And I'm talking about something 99, 2000s. And this top 10 changed my life because they caught my attention. The music of those times, I was like, oh yes, that's what I want. And you have to understand, for me that was different because I'm from Colombia. Salsa and reggaeton and merengue and bachata. From my grandpa, he used to love tango, for example. So far away from the music that I was consuming from NTV, like this North American rock and roll and punk and hip hop and wow, Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and Avril Lavigne and Evanescence, Metallica, and I was watching videos of Nirvana and Iron Maiden, Dido, Eminem, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, The Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Good Charlotte, Green Day, The Offspring. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last. Okay, you understand. And obviously, as you might understand that I'm from Colombia, this was one of the most famous things ever to this day. This is coffee candy. Why do I have this? Because my mom usually is sending me things from Colombia, and usually she's sending a couple of packages. And this is, oh, here, look, Colombina. This is the brand. This is probably the most famous brand of coffee candies or candies in general in Colombia. Very famous. This is a different brand, but also coffee candies, coffee everywhere. But sometimes when friends come over, I just give them one, and some people have never tasted a coffee candy before in their lives. The games were so like sane, if I can say it that way. The games were not malicious. They were just literally childhood games where you really enjoyed without doing any evil stuff. Talking about this, I'm grateful for growing up in a neighborhood. That would have been so much different. I don't know, so many people grew up, either rich people who grew up in mansions far away from the city, or people who lived in buildings. And I lived in the neighborhood, all the kids in the neighborhood, we were kind of going to the same schools. My parents knew all the parents, there was like the sense of community. And we were playing so many great things outside. And in those times, no PlayStations, no Xbox, no Nintendo, no nothing. It was just literally playing outside. We were playing hide and seek, a lot of variations of hide and seek. We were playing what is that, freestyle, like running. We were playing diffs and cups. We were playing. Obviously, there was a time where I was much into sports, so riding our bikes, our scooters, our skateboards around. Obviously, I played Ding Dong Dish. That was hilarious because there were some people in the neighborhood, usually like two houses where all people lived, and there was one greenhouse. I can't remember. It was a greenhouse, but an ugly green, like the color of a very yellowish avocado, like a greenish yellowish. It was an ugly color for the house. In that house, a very grumpy lady used to live, and two things used to happen. I think I've told this story before in social media and TikTok or something. We used to do like ding dong dish in this house, and from the inside the lady was like screaming like, stop it, get away from my door, blah blah blah. For us was the most fascinating thing. Probably that's the most evil game we played, like ding dong dish. That was it. And secondly, in her garden, she had a huge front garden. In her garden, she had a couple of like little bushes and trees, and she had a tree of lemons and a tree of oranges. We used to steal oranges. It was not about taking the orange, because you could take the orange from the ground. You can just pick it up. But it was taking it, like, you have to be strategic, like a spy, trying to take the orange or the lemon without the lady noticing you there. And she had also a dog, and sometimes she was like, hey, I see you, or the dog was barking, we were running. But it was those times. Oh my god, those times are everything. Oh my god, what about high school? I can spend an hour talking about just high school. For me, it was one of the most amazing times in my life. I really enjoy everything about high school, university, my primary school, friends doing. I mean, it was just amazing. But there is something that many people from this generation wouldn't understand. In those times, no phones, basically no computer, no internet, no nothing. So that means no chatting, no Instagram, no Messenger, no WhatsApp, nothing like that. The closest thing that we had, because probably you feel related, was writing proper letters to people. Big letters or in a chunk piece of paper, just a letter, whatever, but you used to write to people. Obviously, writing to girls was not the exception. I always studied in those schools where we had boys and girls, both mixed. And yeah, there is a moment when you start feeling interested about the girls and stuff. There is that funny moment when you know which one is the one you like. You're like, that one. And it's funny because that girl, many times or most of the time, she's from a different class with a, I don't know, different group of friends. Sometimes you don't have any connection. So you have to be like a spy. You really have to work it out step by step, step by step. Full strategy. You try to see if you have any friends in common, if there is somehow a way to get closer to that girl. I don't know, let's say 7th, 8th grade. I think, I don't know. Hey, look, this is a letter that I want you to deliver to that girl. This letter, you have to give it to that girl and that girl only. That's it. Don't say who sent it. Don't say anything. Just give it to her and just, that's it. Fly away. Just watching. And then you see the little boy or little girl, whoever, the messenger, I would say. That person gives the letter to the girl, and the girl opens the letter and says something cute, like, oh, you're very cute, I like you, whatever, something fun. And that's it. You keep going for some time, and then you introduce yourself, and everything is so personal. You know what I mean? Everything, I don't know, but I feel that you have to work for it. Yeah, like first you have to lure, you have to put yourself out there. Then you slowly go for, I don't know, for a walk around the school, for an ice cream in the school. Then maybe if things go well, you say like, oh, after the school we can go to the cinema and tan. That's lovely. And talking about the text and messages and WhatsApps and all that, the first cell phone that I had was when I was like in 9th grade, if I'm not wrong. It was this one. It was a Nokia 1100, if I'm not wrong. This one that Probably this is one of the strongest phones ever made by men. It was almost indestructible. And funny thing is like, and I didn't have it when I was like in ninth grade because I couldn't have it before. I had it in ninth grade because nobody had a phone before. Literally at home, my parents they had I think it was a Sony, a Panasonic, but it was a huge phone with an antenna, and they used to talk for business or stuff like that. Like nobody had a mobile phone. And then this was the first one. That by the way, three cool things about this phone that I remember. Number one, the game of the snake. That was the coolest and most revolutionary game ever. Number two, it had a flashlight. Boop, boop, flashlight. That was like, what? And number three, you could customize your ringtones. Do you remember that? You could actually create ringtones and you can copy and send to friends like codes. There were some codes, and once you play them, they were like the ringtones of famous songs. That was technology at its peak. From Latino countries, maybe something that you have not experienced in Europe or in North America, and I'm saying Latino countries from Mexico down, is called La Serenata, like the serenade, I guess is the name. It's like, I never did one personally because it's not my type of music, but I saw my cousins, my uncles, my dad. This is when you hire a group of three people, and they are like two guys playing the guitar, one guy singing, and you hire them, and they go and sing right in front of the door, like the front door of your girlfriend or your wife, whatever. And usually it's a surprise. And sometimes you are in your neighborhood minding your business, and then you hear that they start playing in the street. You go and look through the window and you see these three guys, two guys with a guitar and one guy singing in front of the house of anybody. And there are love songs, whatever. And then the lady, the woman, like opens the door, and then there is the guy with a bunch of flowers. It's like so cute. By the way, it is cute, but usually this is the best way. Usually this is the best way to say like, I'm sorry. Usually men screwed up. So the next day, maybe they cheated, maybe they did something wrong. I don't know, whatever. But the next day they bring the three guys, and say like, look, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And the guys are behind like playing music and singing. That was just fun. And I think that activity of hiding the serenata, the three guys singing, the group, I think that activity is extinguished. I think, does it exist? Does it still exist? Obviously, technology at home was slow but advancing. First, we had the phone. Then my parents got a flip phone, like for the house. The second thing that kind of changed was we had a phone, like the house phone, but it was one of the drrr, drrr, drrr. Then we had one like normal phone, and then the most like the coolest thing we had a wireless phone that was on the wall, so we can actually take it and go around the house while talking, because we always had the phones attached with a cable or something, and that changed the game. Literally, my mom was talking to my aunts. She was going up and down talking. So it was really cool. And secondly, internet. First, yeah, I had to go through the times where internet was the slowest thing ever. Still, that was the only thing we had. So it was amazing. It was amazing. Even though it was like slow, crazy slow. And by the way, our internet was connected by cable, by a telephonic cable. So once you were surfing on the net, the phone of the house was just over. You could not have calls and you could not call anybody. It was blocked. It was either one of those, either internet or having phone at home. That was just funny. And I guess you all remember this sound. Now, three sad things about my childhood. Number one has to do with one cartoons in particular. Probably you know Dragon Ball. I didn't mention it before because I was saving it for this moment. Dragon Ball played a huge role in my childhood. I loved Goku and Dragon Ball Kamehameha. But there was this time that my mom banned those cartoons at home. It was strictly prohibited to watch those cartoons. I don't know how, I don't know who. You can go and search in Google. In those times, they said that these cartoons were somehow satanic, that there was some type of black witchcraft among them. And there was a description of every cartoon of why they were linked to the devil and hell, and that kids should not watch this because we were going to turn evil. They were right. No, I'm joking, but yes, my mom said like, simple. Every time that I see that you are watching those cartoons, I'm gonna turn the TV off. Done. Then she kind of reflected about it when I was a little bit older, and I was like, there were cartoons. Who the hell said that they were connected to the devil or to a cult or to Satan or to whatever? Second thing, but this one is actually serious and sad. There was a time, if I'm not wrong, I was very young. It's something around 1995 to 1998, 97, if I'm not wrong. Many of us, when we were kids, were not allowed to go to the streets alone, or to go to parks alone, or to play outside when it was dark, when it was kind of the night. Because during those times, one of the most horrible, terrifying, scary, and disgusting episodes of Colombian history happened. Everything because of this guy. This guy was Luis Alfredo Garavito. And if I'm not wrong, maybe you can check it out. In history, I mean, the history of humanity, he has been one of the guys who had more kids in the world. He was a serial, and in those times, he was alive and active. They say that he unalived around 300 to 400 kids in Colombia, and it was around my region. In those times, it was like every month. That was crazy news. That was crazy news. I was somehow a little bit younger to understand the magnitude, even though my mom was like, hey, you cannot go to this park alone. It's too late. Come home. Or if I was, for example, playing in the park, it's because my dad was there, or other dads or moms were there. But those times, even in the news, they were like, take care of your kids because this guy is around. And then it was like every week, every weekend, every other day, there was a kid, I mean, unalive, found on a forest. There was a kid found on a park. There was a kid found, and they were all and unalive in horrible ways. At the end, fortunately, he was caught. There was a time when he became famous as the most, I don't know, famous serial in Colombia. So he was in the news. Now there were some like not pictures, but the drawings of like his face all around, like so that people could identify this guy. And fortunately, he was caught. I'm gonna check what was the year when he was actually caught. He wanted to steal a kid. Unfortunately, this kid was not as young as others, and he survived. He took the kid to the bushes, like to forest, and usually he was playing the I'm a friendly guy. You know, that's so true. When they come, hey, do you want a candy? Hello, I'm your friend, come with me. Literally, that's how it happened. That's not joke, that's how it happened. He was luring kids. Like, hey, I'm gonna give you money, I'm gonna give you candy. And he was taking them to a forest, and that's it. Never see that kid again. He kind of was luring one boy, but the boy was a little bit older, a little bit maybe taller. And when he was going to attack him in the forest, the boy kind of struggled and he could run. So this kid came to the closest town and told people, so they called the police. And there was something about Luis Alfredo Garavito, the guy, that was very particular in him. He was walking, I guess you call it lame. So he was like walking like this. So one of the shoes, the sole of the shoes was a little bit more like worn out than the other. He was walking around, and then the kid said that he was walking finally, and then people identified the guy. He was taken to jail, and he had life in prison. I mean, in Colombia, we don't have life in prison. The maximum is 60 years, but he was already old, so it was like a life in prison. He died. He already died like 2 years ago because he got some type of cancer or something like that. Anyway, that's a very dark and obscure part of the history of Colombia, but it was my time in my region. When we wanted to play, moms and dads, they were taking turns. Literally, that was so crazy. They were taking turns. They were like, hey, who is going with the kids? And then sometimes it was my mom or my dad. Sometimes I was going with the dads of other kids. And they were volunteer, like, hey, I'm going to pay attention to the kids today. and we were going to the park, and there were a couple of parents watching us out. But yeah, crazy times. And number one, another very sad episode of the history of Colombia, but this is more related to the natural disasters. It was in 1999. Probably in the history of Colombia, in 1999, happened the strongest and more devastating earthquake ever. The epicenter was only a city away from mine. But you have to understand that, first of all, Colombia is huge. The city that I'm from is very small. So distances, it was literally next to each other. It was not like kilometers and kilometers. No. It was like you can, by car, from one to the other is like 35, 40 minutes by car. So they are close to each other. The other city, Armenia, Quindío, got devastated. It just, everything was to the ground. There was huge earthquake. I came from school that day because the earthquake happened between 1:30 and 2 p.m. I came from school, and I remember crystal clear that in front of my house, they were constructing something. I guess there were some materials, when people are constructing houses. So there was like sand, and there were bricks, and there were shovels, and there was cement, and all that like construction materials. But me and a couple of my friends, we were playing with little cars in the sand. When you construct like tunnels, when you construct like castles, we're playing with the sand in that place. Guys, I promise you, I still feel that. I was playing. We were playing the sand, constructing thingies for my cars, like with my toys. And then I was like this, and then I felt this. And I fell down. Also, so many people have never felt an earthquake, so you might not know what I'm talking about. But it's the feeling of, you get confused. You are like, is it me? Or is it around me? It's hard to understand this movement. Like, no, actually it's not me. And in a second, everything is like in slow motion, like everyone running, screaming from the houses, like, take the kids, everyone out. Earthquake, careful, just go out, go out, go out. There were sirens, like, woo, woo. Like, it was like, what the hell is going on? The next thing I know is that my dad, who was at home in that time because he came from work to have lunch, he grabbed me from my shirt. I was like figuring out what's going on. And then he was like, woo. We all ran to a parking lot and waited there. But this is the thing. I'm going to put it here. I don't want to say it because I might be wrong about the length. It was long as hell. Sometimes we have, obviously, in South America, there are many earthquakes like per year. Chile, they have earthquakes like every week. In Colombia, there are many earthquakes, like, I don't know, at least every 3 months, there are earthquakes anywhere, somewhere. The issue with some earthquakes is like they are like 20 seconds or 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is a lot. 10 seconds is a lot for an earthquake. Like 10 seconds, you're doing like this, like houses just collapse, buildings collapse. But this one, I'm going to leave all the information here. It was super strong and it was super long. I remember cars doing like this. I mean, I was looking at the car and both wheels, the trees were moving. You see the light posts, the posts in the streets, like lamps. But that's not the bad part. The bad part is when everything finished. Everyone slowly started returning to their houses, checking that the houses didn't have any crack because the houses can still collapse and stuff. Everything seemed safe for us. First thing, my dad goes to the TV. Boom, TV on. He goes to the news. All the national channels are in news. Breaking news. Helicopters like having shots of cities. And then they discovered the epicenter. Whoever is in charge of the geology thingy, they say like, look, the epicenter was in this city. And then the first images of the city show up in TV. I'm gonna show you here. That was like, it was literally, it looked like the pictures that you see from the Second World War. Down. Every building collapsed every building. Houses. A lot of people passed away. A lot of people, because there was no time. It was like so long and so strong that it was like do. Even if you ran, a building was going like over you, or you were inside a building. You were sometimes, so many people were in cars and the building were collapsing over the cars. That was just crazy. Fortunately enough for me, nothing happened to my family, but also my city was very affected. Not as much as the epicenter, but very affected. That was one of the advantages of living in a neighborhood because everything is flat, no tall buildings, and the houses in Colombia, the houses regularly are attached to each other. So they are wall against wall against wall. They are not individual houses. So somehow the structure of a whole block in the street is stronger. So there are no individual houses moving, but it's the whole block. So it makes the whole thing a little bit more, let's say, a little bit stronger, a little bit more compact. So we were safe because of that. But tall buildings in that time, in that specific region, all of them collapsed. And yes, I had to experience that time. My dears, the best part of this video comes now. Please, please, leave it in the comments. Tell me something about your childhood. What was it about music? What was it about cartoons, about TV series, about food, about whatever? What was your childhood like? Please leave it in the comments. I'll be happy to read you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment. That's gonna help me a lot. And nothing. Have a lovely day and we see each other soon. Bye bye.